Even if you're the favorite, you've still got to take care of business. Now, Real Sociedad rolled over for Barcelona in a way that I don't think I've ever seen from La Real, but Blaugrana still had to get the job done. And looking ahead to Benfica on Wednesday, where I really hope you join me on Big Up for the watch along, both Barcelona and Culés will certainly have their nerves tested midweek. So I'm glad that we got to have a nice, pleasant, easy, routine 3 points in La Liga. Welcome to episode 665 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Ian Hilton, and again, I remind you, please join me on Wednesday against Benfica for that huge Champions League first leg of that tie, and you can also help me out on Patreon for as low as $3, or by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Give a like, leave a comment. I know that I don't respond to as many as I should, but hey, I will continue to get on that. I'm getting better, just as Barcelona is getting better in this busy part of the season. So let's dive in now. Here are the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 4-0 win over Real Sociedad. Headline 1 is Zorte On. Now, I promise you, that's a term that you have probably never heard and will never hear in one of the headlines from any of your favorite football YouTubers anywhere. Because that means good luck in the Basque language, which I'm not going to try to pronounce because that will just embarrass me. And I will leave the Basque embarrassment to the actual Basque in Real Sociedad today at Molish Week. And the reason I say good luck, because that was kind of the sentiment when I saw the two lineups. Good luck to you, Real Sociedad, because there was heavy rotation jumping into this match after midweek against Real Madrid in the semifinals of the Copa del Rey. And then with Manchester United in the Europa League on Thursday, it did feel like Real Sociedad from the opening whistle and with the lineup that was chosen, they knew that they were going to likely not get 3 points here because they had injuries to huge contributors in Sucic, Pacheco, and Odriozola, as well as suspensions for Kubo, Aguerd, and Becker. So they were in a world of hurt, and Oyarzabal wasn't even fit for this one, dealing with some hamstring discomfort. So even he was on the bench prioritizing what's to come on Thursday. For Barcelona, the only real rotation was Balde got the rest. Casado comes in for De Jong, and Gerard Martin comes in for Balde. So that's how they go with their 11. And Barcelona are deep enough at this point in the season where even with Araujo coming in for Inigo Martinez, it doesn't really feel like the craziest bit of rotation because these are all players that it's not that surprising when they start. And it sounds like before we even get to the game action, I am being apologetic for Real Sociedad because I am. They're 9th in the Liga. They have not gotten the results this season. And with the semifinal again of the Copa del Rey earlier in the week and just down by 1 goal in that competition and then facing Man United in the Europa League on Thursday, their 9th place spot in the Liga means that they're more than 10 points off a Europa League spot. So that does tell me that their best chance at Europe next season is through the Europa League, something that Sevilla and Atletico Madrid have done in the past. So that's going to be Real Sociedad's real only way into European competition next year in a summer where they're expected to sell Zubimendi. Now, finally, let's dive into the action in the 3rd minute. This is the first offside for Real Sociedad press that started pretty well. You could tell that the manager had gotten at least those substitutes and the ones who don't normally start. He got them motivated to begin at least with some passion. We did see that in the 3rd minute. It's a long switch of play for former academy boy and Sergio Gomes, who nutmegs Pedri. And Lopez on the overlap. He also looked offside, so I think there was 2 different offsides on this play. But as I said, Real Sociedad, their press started well, but there were holes. They looked to be pressing Araujo and Gerard Martin, but I was concerned that they weren't going to have the legs to hold up or the organization. When you have an 11 that isn't consistently playing together, we've seen this with Barcelona too. Adding just a few pieces means communication is off, timing is off, and you could be in a world of hurt, which does foreshadow what we're going to see. I'm already going to jump ahead to the 14th minute because this is the first real Barca press we get to see, and Pedri almost took it away fully from the keeper. It gets a deflection where Pedri would have had a little bit of luck. And then that sentiment of good luck that I gave Real Sociedad, well, it got much, much harder come the 17th minute. Elustando's direct red, contact was yellow-worthy. I do agree with that, but Lewandowski had clearly played Olmo through. Olmo had beaten Elustando to the spot, and he wrapped him up with that left arm. And at that point, there was enough contact for Olmo to go down with a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, the reason for the red, more than just the yellow. Even if you feel like the other Real Sociedad player that was pretty much parallel with the two of them might have gotten to Olmo, I'm not sure about that. Olmo had a straight shot to goal, and the speed he was going, it would have been 1v1 with the goalkeeper in a good spot. So I totally understand the red, even if you feel like it's a bit harsh. 18-year-old Jean Martin comes in at center back, which is a tough spot if you're an 18-year-old player. And I will also mention this is the first red card that goes Barcelona's way this season, so maybe a bit of good luck for the Catalans as well. Headline 2 is first timers, because once the red card happened, I know there were no goals scored, but you can ask those who were on the watch along. I was pretty calm because it did feel like at that point something was inevitable. I was not worried even in the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, but you did feel like Barcelona were eventually going to break through. 22nd minute, they had a chance here. Pedri's floating ball to the back post to Lewandowski. It was a thing of beauty, but Lewandowski got it stuck in his feet. Right after, he and Rafinha get some more shots blocked, and eventually Gerard Martin skies it over. And yeah, maybe that was the one moment where I was like, oh, things aren't going to work out for Barca. But shortly thereafter, in the 25th minute, the 1-0, Gerard Martin goal. Let me say that again, because I don't know how often I'm going to get to say it, especially for a Barcelona uniform. Gerard Martin scores a goal. It's Lamine Yamal dancing. This one built by Lamine Yamal. Samba, tango. Lopez wasn't a very good dance partner here. Falls to the ground on the feint move from Lamine Yamal. Finds Olmo, and then Olmo chips to the back post. Lewandowski attracts the attention, and Gerard Martin one-times it. A well-struck finish by Gerard Martin, his first pro goal. So congratulations to you, Gerard Martin, who kissed the badge as well. 29th minute, we're already into the 2-0. It's Casado this time. He's the last non-Christensen outfield first-team player to score this season, which seems like I add a lot of qualifiers and caveats to that. But hey, that's quite a few players that are non-goalkeepers and non-Christensen and first-team players. It comes off a corner, saved by the keeper initially, out to Olmo, and his long shot is deflected right off of Casado and past the keeper. But hey, they all count the same for Casado. Casado and Gerard Martin, they had combined to play 171 career club-level games in all competitions. Neither had scored before today, going back to their Barça B and Cornea days in the case of Gerard Martin. So congratulations again to both of those. For Casado, it's been a long time coming too. Remember, he is an academy kid that I first started covering in the U16 level to get an A level, and so excited to see him get his first goal with the club. And Gerard Martin and Casado also, by the way, within the same week, scoring as Pau Cubarsí, getting his first as well. First half continued to be all one-way traffic for Barcelona. In the 39th minute, Pedri had a shot here. Barça keeping Real Sociedad on their heels. And speaking of heels, it's Lamine Yamal, the back heel to Koundé, back to him. As I said, Pedri's long shot punched away by the goalkeeper. But at that point, 2-0. I felt like if people started to tune out, I totally get it. But at that point, too, I would also argue that these are the moments that you're supposed to enjoy what's happening with Barcelona instead of tuning out and waiting for the next one. Headline 3 is Real Punts. I don't blame them. From the opening whistle, I said I don't blame them. But at halftime, they really punted it. They must have been looking at the stats at an 0.00 XG. That's expected goals. I know people do push against that stat, but that is a pretty damning stat against Real Sociedad. And spoiler alert, it doesn't change at the full-time whistle, 0.00 XG for them. And they also made changes at halftime, punting the game even farther with those changes. Torrientes on for Zubamendi and giving chances to some other youngsters as well. 50th minute, Rafinha, who did have a really good day. He still worked hard regardless of what that score was. It's why he's been given the captain's armband. And one of those players that I hope when we look back at this time, and this season especially for Hansi Flick, epitomizes the fight and the hunger and all those intangibles. But it's actually from his free kick and set piece deliveries where he was most impressive today. Not too far off in the 50s with a free kick. He got through the wall, and he may have beaten Ramiro too, but just a bit too wide. And then the 54th minute on the other side, defending in his own box on a cross with his team up a man and up 2-0. Hell yeah, Rafinha. 55th minute, Pedri hitting the post on the long shot. Again, it's target practice for Pedri, but I love how aggressive Pedri is being with those long shots. And yeah, if there's one less man, and the press is already starting to weaken for Real Sociedad because they're giving up 700 plus passes in the match, then yeah, have some from deep and try to see if you can get in on the fun. Headline 4 is Lewandowski and Araujo trading places. At this point in the match, yes, they were on cruise control, but you felt like other players could definitely get on the score sheet, and they do in the 56th minute. It's off another corner. Rafinha's deliveries, as I've said, have been on point. Lewandowski wins the initial header, and then Ramiro was fortunate to keep it out, but it's Araujo against an 18-year-old center back. Again, I foreshadowed that he came on after the red card, and Araujo pops it in easily, getting free. 59th minute, then Hansi Flick was able to really take his foot off the pedal. Cubarsí, Pedri, and Rafinha all get some must-deserved rest for Eric Garcia, Ferran Torres, and De Jong. And then 61st minute, Araujo returns the favor back to Lewandowski for the 4-0 on the deflection, or maybe not a deflection. I think this one on second and third and fourth viewing was actually a pass. Araujo stepping into the space, taking the shot / pass with Oskarsson a step away, who at that point was completely gassed. It's a tough spot to be in for the young center forward. And then Lewandowski does get enough of it. 21 goals now in the Liga, 34 on the season. I know you say he's done and dusted. but the guy's going to probably hit 40 goals this season. If he doesn't, something has gone wrong in the last 3 months of the season. So Lewandowski, man, if he even gets 35 for a 36-year-old player, it's hard to argue what at least he did this season, and you can worry about next season in the offseason. It's time to win trophies. Lewandowski is a number 9 to start these matches to do that. He just finds a way to score goals. And I know you say, well, tap-ins, they don't count. It's not these golazos, these beautiful goals, and those haven't come since October, November. But Lewandowski is still putting the ball in the back of the net. They all count the same. I'm so sorry for those Lewandowski detractors out there, but he's scoring goals. I know this one didn't really matter because the game was already over, but as I remind you, all those misses are coming because he's putting himself in goal-scoring opportunities, and if he takes his chance for the rest of this season, Barcelona will win trophies, which, by the way, a minute later, Lewandowski and Martin both denied their braces, and they probably both could have had a second one in that second half. Headline 5 is Real so sad. I don't know if I pulled that one off. Shout out to Z-Meister in the watch along for that one. But yeah, I'm not sure if I pulled off that headline. But Real Sociedad also didn't pull off making this competitive game in the second half. 67th minute, Torres misses one from just inside the box. Had enough time to get it on his right, but he hits it wide. 71st minute, Fermin Lopez on for Olmo. And 76th, Fort on for Araujo with Koundé shifting over to center back. 80th minute, Lewandowski misses a sitting header. Lamine Yamal on the cross in. So let's talk about the positive here. Lamine Yamal, he was in his bag today, per usual. 86th minute, Fermin delivers a great ball over the top to Torres, but he couldn't get it on frame, just wide, and it was a non-given corner. Then stoppage time, Lamine Yamal lets a shot from distance go, and Ramiro, he had a busy day. How busy a day? 33 shots to 0, 10 shots on target, 77% possession for Barca, almost 750 passes, 12 on corners, and as I said before, an 0.00 XG for Real Sociedad on the day. Probably one of the more difficult matches that Imanol Alguacil has had to manage in charge of Real Sociedad. Just a tough day at the office. And as I said, they're punting on the league. That was really the theme here. A match that was over before it began. And now both of these teams are looking ahead to their European stuff midweek. For Barcelona, this was a perfect match to prepare them for the Champions League on Wednesday against Benfica, who, as Hansi Flick said in postgame, will have had a full week to prepare for Barcelona. So I do hope you prepare in the next few days for that watch along. That's going to be at 3 o'clock on Big Up. Hope you join me for that one. That's 3 o'clock East Coast time. And meanwhile, as much as it felt like Real Sociedad gave us one to Barcelona, they still had to win it. And they still had to win it to put themselves back atop the Liga table, because Atletico Madrid, with their win this weekend against Athletic Club, they've now put some distance between the top 3 and number 4 in Athletic Club. And now Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, Barcelona fans can again say, hey, 4-0 win. Now we get to just sit back at least for that extra day, because Tuesday it's Real Madrid against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. They're going to be fighting it out, and hopefully whoever wins that one winds up being a win for Barcelona as well, because they just kick the living daylights out of each other. But Barcelona still, with the last matchup against Benfica fresh in our minds, they've got a tough one ahead as well. So please join me for that one. And as always, give me a like, Patreon, comment on the video, subscribe on YouTube, good rating on the podcast apps, join the Facebook community, Discord, wherever you could possibly find me. It's the Barcelona Podcast. You know that if you're still with me. And as always, until next time, Forza Barca.